Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining. We shall begin now. Shall we begin now if everyone's okay with it? Um, okay, let's begin now. Hi, my name is Kush. I shall be teaching you guys Blender today. Um, Most of you will have the doubt of what is Blender. Blender is basically like an open source 3D modeling software. It's kind of like Maya, AutoCAD, or any of the other softwares you've heard of. But the only thing slightly about Blender, different about Blender is you can write your own code and you can actually run it within the program. And you can even add it to the, you can actually join the developer community online. Wait, it's better if I share my screen. And yeah. Okay. Now, I think this would be better if it's in hands-on session. So I would like you guys to like take out your PC and just go ahead to this thing. Just go ahead to blender.org. Okay. Now, this is where you can download the new Blender. By the way, Blender, the latest version of Blender just got released a few days back. I do not know exactly all the new features, but there are quite a few interesting features that I can do tell you. Okay. So once you have entered here, go to the download page, or you can just click download here. Now you can choose Windows, installer, etc. Now, be in mind, the latest version of Blender does require, like, higher the version of Blender, the more power it does require for it to run. Because most of the time, what Blender does is when they're upgrading, their most common upgrade is for simulation. So that is for cloth or water or fire or gravity or anything like rigid body, etc. So if you guys don't have a great PC, I would suggest you, like, not great, like just above average. You don't really need that much power to actually run Blender. It's only like 169 MB. You can run it on your phone if you want. Say tiny, isn't it? Okay. So, but the files Blender does create, like when you save the file, that would be in GB. So do mind that. I don't think like the save file will also be in like a couple of MBs. So you can either try downloading Blender, which I would recommend you guys do right now. Or if you want, you guys can go experimental. What experimental does is you can get new features of Blender and you can access them right now itself. So complete beta stuff. Like remember I told you about the dev community, right? So you have access to all the beta features. Only problem is this crashes a lot. Like even when it sometimes just crashes on boot. I remember getting Blender 2.92, the experimental build, and it just crashed as soon as I opened it, and there was like no fix until for like 2 weeks. Okay, so don't worry, you can always you guys can get an older version of Blender, like previous versions. My recommendation is, which one is this? Blender 2.8. 2.8, Blender 2.8 80. That's my recommendation if you guys want a previous version, or 2.7. 2.7 also works really great. If you guys are having any issues, otherwise you guys can just directly go ahead and download. Yeah, basically you guys can you have like an amazing documentation on Blender itself. And you have like community service, stack exchange, you have like everything. Basically Blender is just like any other open source software. So just let me know when you guys are done installing the software. Yes, 2.9 is latest, but if you want, you can, or 2.9, or if you mean like is 2.92, it got released 2 days back. So it has material nodes and all. It has kind of a lot of interesting features. Yes. So can you guys talk? Have I unmuted you all? I do not know how this is. Admit all. Someone unmute. Participants. Yeah, so if anyone could unmute and tell me if you have installed it or not. Anyone? Okay, never mind. I'm going to assume you guys have downloaded the software and it's installed. Okay, now first thing I want you guys to do is open up Blender. So you get like a pop like this, where it's running in CMD. Yeah, also what is recommended is you close all of the tabs, especially your browser for one. Chrome takes a lot of things. So don't worry about like losing your thing. All you have to do is you can just always just add it to this and just close it. And the next time you want to open Chrome, right? Just use Control Shift and J. It'll bring back all your tabs. So you will not see this. You will see that an image of two kangaroos, I believe. If you guys do download right now. Okay. Now, what you're going to do. This is going to be how Blender looks. Okay. Now you have a default cube. This is going to be your standard issue thing. Oh yeah. Also, I recommend you guys do have a mouse with a scroll wheel and a keyboard with a numpad. But if you do not, there is a way to get around it. Don't worry. I'll teach you shortcuts. I've been studying this. Okay. So you don't really need a powerful system. That's like the first thing I want to throw out. You don't need a powerful system to run this. Okay. So now first thing you see is your default cube, and each of these blocks is one unit. So right now you have a default cube, which is, so basically this is your user interface. So you have first a selection tool. You can select everything. If you can see on your right side here, right, it shows you like the stuff which are there, like the light, cube, camera, collection, etc. I can get rid of this. So these are basically how a collection is like a tab. So you can create multiple tabs. So like, wait, yeah. So you can create a new collection. What a collection does is it helps you organize stuff for those of you who like to keep your stuff organized. So that's what collections do mainly. So we shall just close this. Go into the main collection. Okay. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is you guys, you have your first tool. This is your cursor. You see this, right? This thing in the center. That is what is known as a 3D cursor. You can place that anywhere on the map, anywhere in 3D space. Right, like you can just place it here. And this cursor determines, say you want to add a new object to your scene, right? This cursor is what tells you where the scene is, like where it's going to add. Like say right now, I'm going to add something like a plane. It adds it at the 3D cursor. Don't worry, I'll teach you how to add stuff. So you can just click and you see this in the right side, X, Y, and Z, right? That's your basically 3D coordinate system. You can just and just click in the center. Just click, bring it back normal to views, and it's in the center.
Sir, I can't place my model cursor.
What's
like
that?
how to rotate and all.
Oh, okay. You need to use your mouse scroll wheel to rotate right now. I could not find another way to get out of this, but you can use this to rotate. You can just left click over here in this perspective view, and you can just move around like this. It takes you around in different views.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay. Now just place 3D annoying 3D cursor at the center. See center X center. Okay. Okay, it's not ready to go to center. Never mind. Okay. So 3D cursor is fallen somewhere. We'll forget about that. And now you have your move tool. So what a move tool does is you can select anything. This is your camera and this is your light. These are the basic things. Let's just delete them for now. So you have your cube. Okay. Now, basically what you have for your cube is, this is a move tool. You can move it along the X-axis, or you can move it along the Y-axis or the Z-axis. or you see these squares, right? These squares let you move them freely. Okay, you can use these squares to move freely. Best part about Blender is, say you have any thing, right? Like anything on your screen, like right now, say move, right? Do you not annotate? How do I remove this? um, okay. So now back to Blender. So annoying.
Sir, these X, Y, and Z axis on the cube are not shown for me, and I also
Did
can't
you click on
able
this?
to.
Did you click on the move tool?
Where? Could
In
you
the
just show
left
me?
side, after this thing, selection 3D cursor, there's a move tool.
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
Okay. So this lets you move it around in 3D space. If you were to click on the squares, you can move it freely. Okay. This is the rotation tool right below that. Same thing, X rotation, Y rotation, and the white circle lets you rotate anywhere in free space. Now the last one you have is Control Z is the standard for like resetting stuff, same as like any software. Okay, and next you have the scaling tool, which is a very important tool, but also tricky at the same time. How it works is you can scale along the Y, you can scale along the X, you can scale on the Z. And if you hold on the white circle, it scales in all axes simultaneously. Okay. And you have this ultimate transform tool in case you don't have time to switch between all. You can move, you can rotate, you can scale, you can do everything simultaneously. Okay. I don't know why this is there, maybe just because if someone gets bored. Now, as for everything in Blender, there's always a shortcut key. Okay, the shortcut key for the move tool is G. Okay, and if you were to hold after G, if you were to press X, it would lock it to the X axis alone. If you were to press Y, Y axis alone. If you were to press Z, Z axis alone. All right, don't worry about shortcuts. I'll send a PDF to all of you later. That will just have like all the shortcuts in there. Or if you want to get, I can just show you guys where to go right now. Just go to the Control Shift. Okay. Now, so you can just open a new tab. Go to Blender. Blender Guru. So basically, Blender Guru is like a guy who has been there, who's been using Blender like before it was even a thing. Okay, like he's one of the OG people who have been using it for a long time. Just click get the PDF. It'll ask you to give your email ID and it'll email you the PDF. Okay, that's about it. And yeah, that'll tell you all the shortcuts. So G is for moving. Okay, R is for rotating, R for rotate, and S is for scaling. Same thing. If you were to hold X, Y, and Z, it would lock it to the certain axis. One more fun thing about scaling is, say you want to scale it, but you only want to scale it on the X and Y, but not the Z, right? So you hold Shift and Z. All right. This will only scale it along the X and Y. You won't have to worry about the Z axis. And what if you want to see the scale values, just press N. N opens this sidebar. Or if you, N opens this sidebar, which shows you like all the stuff. So this tells you the location. You can always move it via this also as like the Y. If you're doing architectural design, I believe this would be what's important, right? Numbers, etc. Real life scale. So you can always just change scale here, and you can set the dimensions of cube. Right now, you see, right? It's 2 units by 2 units. You can always change everything here. Now, one more thing you can do is you can annotate within Blender. So while you are, if you're sending the project to your friend, you can just be like point here and be like here, right? This writes in 3D space also. This is dependent on your viewport. So like where you're viewing it from, it writes exactly in that angle. All right, so you can draw like multiple 3D diagrams. It's completely possible. But don't worry, I'll show you grease pencil. Grease pencil is a much better way of doing this. Okay. Now, other stuff, what you can do is, say you want to edit the cube, but to make it something else that's not a cube. Okay, for that, if you hit your tab key, okay, if you were to hit your tab key, it would take you into this magical mode called edit mode. Okay, edit mode has a lot of strong features. I can literally hold this one edge, and you have the same keys, G, R, S, same stuff. If you have to hold G, you can move it, and then this is your final cube. If you were to edit mode, this is your final cube right now. We do keep in mind, all this is completely erasable with control set. Now, in edit mode, stuff you can do. If you were to hold one, right, it takes you into point select. So you can select all the vertices alone. If you have to hold press 2, okay, this will take you into edge select. Now you can't select the points, you can just select the edges, and you can move it based on just the edges. All right. Now, if you were to hold 3, 3 is right now face select. You don't see anything because it's a default cube, but it does show in for like complex figures. So you can select a face and you can move the face alone, and the rest of the cube will deform along with it. You can rotate it along the z-axis, like x-axis, and you get like a rotated cube, etc. You can do whatever you want, and once you just exit edit mode, you have this. Right? This and you have like a couple of other tools like spin. You have polybuild. Polybuild is fun. You just hold points and you just completely reconfigure that. Polybuild. I don't use polybuild. I just these are kind of enough actually. Okay. So one more thing you can do is you can select multiple points. Like I can choose 2 points, and I can do the same thing. That's also another option. Now, say what if you want to add more faces or more sides, etc. So one of the more useful things would be E. E is for extrude. Okay, extrude, what it does is if you have to hold E, you can just drag those 2 points out and it'll create like another point in free space. If you are having issues, with why it's coming slant and all, right, you don't have to worry about that. All you have to do is just go change it to like the fixed Z-axis and extrude along Y. Or you can just standardly extrude around Y, I guess. Yeah, extrude along Y. I mean, yeah, you can standardly extrude along Y or extrude along Z, and this is permanently changed. This is your cube right now. Okay, all changes are permanent. You can insert face, which is okay. Insert face doesn't work that great, but yeah. What insert face does is if you hold 3, do this insert face, right? You can just insert another face here. Okay. And bevel is another thing you can do. Bevel, what it does is, have you seen like like something like this, right? Like an object like this. So at the edge, it smoothens out. So like there's like you have like a smooth turn, right? So to get that smooth turn, what you do is you bevel. To be honest, I've never actually beveled using the tool, but yeah, Control B for bevel, and yeah, so Control B is for bevel, and you can just smoothen the edges out. Okay, right. And you see this, right? Mean bevel weight, or any of these, they completely help. Or if you don't want to bevel this way, there's also another way you can bevel. I'll show it to you. One more very, very, very important tool. Yeah, if you forget the shortcuts, you can always just put your key on top, your mouse on top of the thing, and it'll show you insert faces. The shortcut is I, or Shift space bar. Okay, bevel is Control B. Knife tool or K. This is very important. So basically, say you want to edit this, but I don't have like a certain thing. You can try loop cutting. Loop cutting is basically just Control R, and you can just put like a loop cut. It cuts in a circular loop around it. You can use your mouse scroll wheel to like increase and decrease. For those of you who do not have a mouse, you can use your Control and equal to and minus keys. Okay, that also works. So basically what loop cuts does is you can just create loops around the figure, and once you left click it, you'll be stuck in this mode. Now what you can do is you can either left click to cut it somewhere else. Like you can just choose four loop cuts, but you can place it somewhere else, or right click and it'll place right where you are. All right. Now what you can do is, this is not seen in the actual solid view. Okay. So you have solid view. If you press Z, right, that will take you to a solid view, rendered view. This is what you will see in like the final image. All right, for that you need to add, oh yeah, now and then you have material preview. Usually what happens is rendered view, right? It takes too much of your GPU or CPU, whatever you're using. It takes too much of it. So to avoid that, what you do is you use render view. Sorry, this is kind of boring right now, but it will get interesting soon. Don't worry. Okay. This is just the basic starting part. So it's kind of boring and annoying, but yeah, wait till I get to materials. So yeah, wireframe. So say you're working with a complex 3D object, right? And you want to see through it. Wireframe lets you work through stuff. Like if you were to tab, especially in wireframe, you can like see through stuff, right? You can work on the other side without affecting the stuff on this side, right? Or I can, wireframe lets me select stuff on the other side of the object. So wireframe is like one really useful mode. And yeah, okay. That's it for the object controls. Now, let's not go into too much of what blend other stuff. Oh, yeah, other stuff Blender can do is you can create a movie clip editor. You can create a video sequence editor, texture node. But yeah, this one is just get too complicated. Let's go into that later. Okay. Now, let's go into your right side of your tab. What do you have here? The first tool is your select box. Don't mind this. This is just your general setting stuff. Okay. Yeah, it just tells you what's your currently active tool in case you want to do know something. Move tool or rotate tool. Like it just tells you it affect only the origins, locations, parts. You can just change settings if you want to go in, but it's not really necessary. But there's an option. You can edit everything if you want. Now here, this is the main place where you'll be spending most of your time on. Okay, this is Eevee, your render engine. Basically, what happens is every 3D software has a render engine. All right. Any notes? No, it doesn't actually. It doesn't take years. I actually started learning Blender since quarantine, I guess. So it's been like 4 months. 4 months, that's it. I will, yeah, actually, it's only been 4 months. It doesn't take that long. You can make really great stuff very quickly. If you follow this, I will actually show you some fun stuff. Okay. Let's just get through all this boring stuff. Render engines. Basically, what happens, every 3D modeling software has two things. Okay. One, you have your editing area. Two, you have a render engine. What a render engine does is, if I were to render this image, let me just add a camera quickly. And you right. Now, if I were to add an image like this and add a point, no, a point is disgusting. Add a sun. Okay. Now this is the camera view. This is what the camera sees. All right. Now what you can do is when you render this out, so you go to render and render image. All right. You would get something like this. All right. This is what is done in Eevee. Okay, what Eevee does is it renders stuff simultaneously, like the entire image gets rendered at once. Now you have your other ones, which are cycles and workbench. Workbench, no one really uses actually, it's kind of garbage. Cycles is for a more realistic look, right? You can see when you choose cycles, it becomes very hazy, your viewport, when you're if you're in rendered view, Z for rendered view, by the way. If you're in this, it becomes kind of hazy. So what cycles does is it renders each and every unit individually. It gives like a more realistic feel. So if you're trying to recreate stuff which you have like realistic effects, or you want to green screen something, or you want to create like those high definition images which of like a leopard or a cheetah or a jaguar, cycles is what you should go for. If you want to try something cartoony, I suggest Eevee. Cycles is very time consuming, that I will tell you. So because if you were to render cycles, right, like right now, render image, cycles, what it does is it builds up your image, if you can see right now. So it has, you would see like number of cores depending on whether you're GPU or CPU. I'm right now rendering under CPU. So I have 8 cores and you can see like 8 different frames working simultaneously. So if you've tried ordering a GPU, you'd see like simultaneous core capacity, right? Like RTX has 1000 simultaneous things. So you'll have 1000 of these little things going around, building your scene. So what psychosis gives like a more realistic effect if you're trying for it. Now, under let's just stick to EV, because let's not try to fry our computers this soon already, because you guys might get really annoyed if your computer would just shut down. Okay, now what you can do is, here are some more features. Okay, ambient occlusion. You can activate this if you have something like hair or something like paper. So what have you noticed is when you've seen people with hair, right? So at the top of the hair, light bleeds through, if you have noticed clearly. So when light bleeds through, right, like you can still see that there's hair, but light is still passing through partially of it. This is what's used for like cloth simulations, hair, etc. So if you were to activate ambient occlusion, it would actually like accept light bleeding through stuff. You can set that setting later. I will show you more. Bloom, what it does is, say you have something really glowing, like you've seen one of those neon movies, like Spider-Man, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Okay, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and all, they have bloom settings, right? So what bloom does is it gives you that effect of neon and cyberpunk. Okay, depth of field is a camera setting which just helps you, gives like a blur to the background just to give like a small depth of field. Subsurface scattering is basically, it's hard to explain. You've seen in physics, right? Basically, when it hits the edge and it just light bounces off to like nearby objects, you can completely simulate all types of physics in here. Okay, screen trace reflection and Gaussian blur and all is simple. Simplify, what it does is it makes your renders faster. So I would always suggest keep on simplify. It does drop quality slightly, but always keep simplify on. Okay, resolution, you can change the resolution of your camera. Like if you were to hit numpad 0, you'd go into camera view and you can change resolution. Right, you can see, right, like it gets slightly thicker, slightly less thicker, etc. Or you can change like the percentage of the dimensions, or like how much of the camera the image has to come to, and your output. That frame rate and all only matters for animation, so don't really bother about all this for now. This is basically where all your files are stored. Temp is usually just a file storage space where like all your temporary files go to. Don't really fill this up with anything. Just it usually is good for like animation, because I really don't. I have like a lot of trial runs, but what you can do is you can just choose a random location, like for example, say desktop. All right, give like a file name like something. Okay. And just click accept. Right. So it changes its location to like desktop something. Now you can choose to render it as PNG. What PNG does is it renders, you see these frames, right? You have 250 frames. That's how animation works. It's just one frame after another of just motion. All right. To see, so like one image is here, one image here, one image here. Put them together, you get a motion like this, right? That's how frames work. So you can either choose to edit render it in PNG, which is kind of actually helpful. You can just, if you're in rendering PNG, you actually have to render like a fewer frames, and then you can just combine them together to make it look like an animation. Or you can, if you want to be really irritating, you can just go ahead and do it to FFmpeg. I suggest this because it's much more better than the other two. So if you were to do this and you were to render an animation, it would directly render as a video file, not image file, not like 400 image files. It's easier to handle, but yes. All right. Now you have different ways of rendering. One is RGB. All right. The other one is black and white. Black and white is pretty self-explanatory. And RGBA. I'll show you what RGBA gives like a different look of. If I can. Now, this was a sword I had modeled. This is rendered in RGB. All right. So you can see like there's like, you can see each and every clean color. This has bloom on that, so you can see like the shine and ambient occlusion on, right? Now, if you were to render in RGBA, it would give you this weird effect. It's kind of cool, but it's like a different color spectrum altogether. You're taking more than just RGB. All right. So it will give you like a slightly different effect. If you guys want to just don't know like what color your thing has to be, just mess around with this. Color depth just usually tells how many bit channels are there. That's complicated. I won't get into all that. Just take one Photoshop course. I'll explain to you the bit channels, etc. Okay, view layer is just drop it for now. scene this is important, just gravity. If you're doing simulations, whether you need gravity on or gravity off. I come back to this when we're doing simulations. World is basically, you see a background right now, right? Let's get our camera here. So you see a background right now. What you can do is you can choose the background and you can change its color altogether. You can make it a completely black background, or you can make it like completely white, depending on what your choice is. Okay. And you can choose the strength of the darkness also. Now, volume is something which is a whole other concept altogether. Volume is, say you have fog, mist, smoke, clouds. These are all come under volume. Basically, what they do is they create like a hazy effect within. So you have basically what it does is it gives depth to your 3D object, right? Right now, if I were to go through this, right, it's just a hollow 3D object. But if I have to give volume, it will create like a spongy effect inside. So if you're like ever cutting out an object and you want its insides to be seen, always give volume to it. Okay, but don't give it because it also increases render time. So that's plus and minus. You always have a plus and minus. It's always just exchange, right? So you have like basic cube, same as here. Instead of pressing N and getting this panel right here, right, which has all these, you have directly the transform, relations, collections, etc. And then you have modifiers. Yes. Okay, we're starting getting the fun parts. Modifiers. Remember I told you could bevel in other ways also. So modifier, what you can do is you can do tons of stuff, like so many things. So what you can do is, this is an array modifier. All right. So you can choose a constant offset, where I'm going to actually put constant because it's easier. So look at it. I can create another cube. All right. But these both are the same object right now, as of right now. And you can just increase the count. So you can you don't have to, you can just create like a long list. Like I'll show you an image which I've done with this. So if you want to see this, right, all I have to do is just create one loop and then array modifier it. Because it's simpler than just copying this object, dragging it a little further away, placing it, so on, right? So you just array modify everything. So, and if you want to actually just say you made okay, I'm not going to do 16. Okay, say you made 2 objects, right, or something. You made like a certain n number of objects, and now you wanted the second one to be alone, because if you can see in that image which I just showed, wait, in this image, what you can see, like the rings are of different color, right? So what I did was basically, after you create an array modifier, you can click apply. Okay, once you apply a modifier, it makes it like a single object, but you can also choose to make it 2 separate objects. Okay. You can just make it 2 separate objects by, once you click apply, right? To apply. Now tab, and you can just separate these in edit mode. Okay. Now that is one way. And let's go through some of the mod. You can also cancel the modifier straight up if you don't like it. You have multiple modifiers. You have mirror, which is actually used for sculpting if you want to create characters or stuff like that. The bevel modifier, this is what I was telling you about. This is much better than using Control B, because what you can do here is you can see like it looks the same as the previous one, but you can create more segments. What more segments does is it makes your edges smoother. So now you have like a completely smooth cube, right? This is, but remember, more now this creates more vertices per corner, which also increases render time and might lag if you create too many. The standard 4 would be good, I guess. Like after you do 4, 4 is like a decent bevel count. Now once you do 4, right, just go into your object, right click it. All right, you get these options. Click shade smooth, and you got like a perfectly smooth cube, no issues whatsoever. Okay. You can also bevel the material to make it look smoother on the corners, but yeah, most of Blender is just experimentation anyway. It's very, yeah, you just basically just click on something like, what does this do? What does this do? And then you just find out. Okay, next, I think I might as well just teach you guys the first main one of all. 3D cursor, I need to come to the center. Okay. Now, what you can do is hold Shift and A. This will bring up your add things. So Blender has tons of preset addables for mesh, right? You have plane, you have a cube, you have a circle. You can even bring in a monkey. You can bring in a monkey. Okay. So basically R's, Z, yeah, you have a monkey. The monkey's name is Suzanne. If any of you want to actually get into the story, I don't know why there's a monkey, but you have a monkey. It's basically it's really good if you're like for trial testing, if you want to try fur and all, right? The monkey is a really good thing to actually check out. A lot of people think people actually make the monkey. No, it's a preset. Why? Okay, just yeah. See, it was confusing, and then all you have to do is just change the settings here, and no, I want to turn this up. Okay. So now you have a monkey. Now you can try doing this. Yeah, you can. This is something fun if you guys. Okay, let's start with something fun for now because you guys might be getting bored. So click on object. Okay, with the monkey set, only the monkey. Click on object. Go to quick effects and quick explode. I guess. Let's see. So what quick explode does is it has already created like an animation thing for you. So you see the monkey now, and it just like shatters. So that's basically how every explosion works. It's complete fake. Okay, all you do is you create an explosion, and you can create what you can create a force such that the explosion goes outward, but all an explosion does is just takes your mesh and just shreds it down, right? So this is basically every animation ever. I just spoiled every movie for you from now on. Okay, Control Z, just cancel explosion because. Okay, now you can also do object, quick effects. Quick smoke is the same as quick fire. Basically, smoke and fire is the same thing. All you do is you have smoke, and then to the smoke, you add an orange tinge at the bottom part, and boom, you got fire. That's all it is. Okay, I don't know why it doesn't run in EV. It's still some very weird glitch. They solved it in the new versions, but yeah, I have 2.9. But yeah, that in the old version, what happens is this was one bug where it doesn't actually render smoke that well. Blender is only downside is it's not that great in simulations as compared to Houdini or something greater. Houdini will make your computer cry, so don't try Houdini. I already tried it. Bad idea. Okay, you can fur always works. Yeah, I forgot to select the object. Quick effects, quick fur. Boom, got fur. You can go down here to particle settings, like right below modifiers. This is a good place to teach particles. Okay, so you can increase the number. The number is how many hair follicles are there on Suzanne. Okay, I think I put too many zeros. Please don't crash Blender. No. Yeah, so this is what you get. Okay, complete thick hair simulation. Okay, you can actually add hair properties and it will drop down and you can comb it all. I do not want to do that because that requires little more specs than what I have. It will happen, but it takes too long. So I want to do it for like right now because let's just keep it to 100. Okay, so you have particles all over the diagram. So you can choose something like seed. Seed, what it does is it gives you a randomness to the particles. Okay, it changes like the location. Like you can just be like, huh, is this good? No, is this better? Yeah, it just changes. So you can always choose which one do you like. You can choose hair length, which is particle length. Oh yeah, also there's two kinds of particles. I've quite mentioned, sorry. Emitter and hair. What emitter does is once you click play, it just starts emitting from the object. Okay, this is good to create rain clouds or smoke or stuff like that. But let's just go with here because emitters is simple. That's all. You just emit stuff. You can choose what to emit. You can select like a object. Like I'm going to emit this exact thing. You can create like a snowflake and just start emitting snowflakes. But yeah, here you can also create segments to hair. What segments do to hair is so when you're folding the hair using a brush tool, which I'll show later. So when you're folding the hair, what happens is it can only fold at a segment. So this has 0 segments, so you can't fold it technically. If you had one segment, it will fold at that one point, and so on. More segments means more realistic hair, right? But it also, yeah, render time. Just take it as a default. Any of these always increase render time. All right. Now, modifiers, you can check out what all these are. You just go, you can go to the Blender thing and just check out just study one documentation. There's a documentation for each and everything. So it works perfectly fine. Now, Pranu, if you mute. Okay. So right now, okay. Fine, let's just add some. Now, Shift A, and you have all this stuff: empty, images, light pose, armature, grease pencil. This is what, if Sanat's here, Sanat, you wanted grease pencil, right? This is what grease pencil is. You take grease pencil and you can just draw around. I am not exactly sure how it works, but like, I don't exactly know how to use it, but that's how it works. Sanat, if you're here, just listen to that. Yeah, Metaball is something if you want to create clouds or something like that. It's super useful for creating clouds. So what you do is you can just Shift D. Yeah, this is what metaballs are. You can just hold Shift D and then duplicate it, and they just merge together. All right. So all you have to do is just create like one sludge of a thing and add like a volume property to it, and tada, you got a cloud. Okay. I don't actually like metaballs, but they're good to make cloud. I just rather just import a cloud image and set it as a background. It's much faster and much more reliable. Because I mean, it's not like people are going to notice, that's a cloud. Why is it not following cloud-like properties? No. Let's just do all that. Okay. Now, you have multiple stuff. Rigid body. Rigid body is a standard rigid body. So what happens is, did we activate gravity? I do not remember. Yes, we did activate gravity. Okay, this is where gravity comes to play. This is complete physics simulations from now. Okay, the physics properties tab. Now, if you were to click spacebar plays your animation, which is this. This is your animation keying thing. And you have 250 frames of animation right now. Wait, come up. Okay, you have 250 frames of animation right now. And if I just do rigid body, the monkey falls, following gravity. If I had no gravity, it would just float around there. Let me just add in a plane. I really need to set that thing to 0. 0, 0, 0. Okay, now if you were to just scale up the plane and just take the monkey a little higher. All right, like what you do to the plane is you just create a rigid body, and instead of active, set it to passive. Passive, what it does is it just makes it stay there, but it's still a rigid body. So the monkey just falls, and they follow like actual physics. All right, you can choose to like choose how much like how much collision parameters and all, just to make it more interesting. But that's basically it. If you want, you can add a force field for fun. A force field. So basically a wind force field. So Y90. Okay. RZ180. Now you can just scale this up, and you have a force field right now. You can set its strength to something like 100. Right. So now you can see like the monkey, it's actually being pushed by the wind. And that's basically what force fields are. You can use force fields for anything. If I was to like move the force field right now, right, the monkey would actually follow the force field. If it was like, look at this. And if I were to stop the force field by pushing the other direction, the monkey would just follow the direction of the force field. This is completely live. All right. Basically the same concept. More strength means the faster it behaves and the faster it reacts. Now say you want to do this weird dance with the force field and you want to record all this for your animation, but you don't want to actually animate each and every frame. So what you do is you see this record button here. This is called auto keying. Now what it does is once you press this, all your objects within your scene are now auto keyed. If you were to press spacebar while playing, right, and you were to like rotate it or something like that, you see that it creates keyframes, right? Now this keyframe, let's just stop it here. Okay. Now if you were to just play it, forget auto key. If you were to just play it, it would follow the exact path I had taken. And this is how people create like lifelike stuff in very quickly. So basically, yeah, animation, you don't actually have to like move it here. I is for insert keyframe, by the way. So if you click I, it tells you location, rotation, scaling. Rot scale is basically all three of a combination. Okay. So basically, once you do this, you can see, right? This is all keyframed. And if I were to move it like 10 frames ahead and keep it somewhere here. Okay, wait, I have to turn off the rigid body aspect if I want to move it. Yeah. And now if I were to lock rot scale, the object moves from here to here in a smooth transition. And if you don't like it 10 seconds, you can always just grab it, move it all the way to 50, 60, and it'll create like a smooth transition from here to here. Just remember I for insert keyframe, and it Blender automatically does an all the intermediate keyframes on its own. All right. Then now what do we have? Object constraints that have basically if you want an object to like copy rotation, okay, and you select this right, so, and then you just choose this eyedropper and you select our object plane. So it copies the exact rotation of this object, right? So if I were to rotate this object right now, the monkey would rotate with it. You can also just click parent, but I feel constraints is a much easier method and much more cleaner, because parent is what it does is just make sure that this isn't the same. Okay, I'll just show you what parent is. If you were to shift and click, first click on this one, shift, click on the next one, control P, okay, object, keep transform, etc. Let's just do object. Now these two are parented. And you can see like the monkey is gone in the tab here, right? If you have to click on this in parent, you can see Suzanne. So basically Suzanne's parented to the plane. If you were to rotate the plane, Suzanne stuck to her, like a standard thing. But if you were to hold Suzanne and you were to like rotate, right? Suzanne's rotation doesn't affect the plane, but the plane's rotation affects Suzanne. That's what basically parenting is all about. Okay, casual parenting, forcing children to do what they say. Okay, okay, so time to get into the you have vertex groups. Vertex groups are useful if you want to do a cloth simulation. I actually I don't think we have time to do a cloth simulation right now because they're usually annoying, but I will show you an image and I'll just explain to you simply what it is. So this is an object right now. If you were to notice this object, this cloth, it's stitched over here at these edges, right? So what you do is this is a group. It is these two edges are a group, right? And what you do is you click stitch. What stitch does is it combines both of them together, like fuse them together, and that's what creates cloth to any object. So what you do is you create a front plane and you create a back plane, and you stitch both of them simultaneously. So that's what creates like a cloth. It gives you like the impact effect and also like the realistic motion afterwards. You don't really need rigid body. Right, okay, time to get into the fun part. Materials. Okay, Shift A. Let's just create a mesh. Let's create a UV icosphere, I guess. Yeah, you create an icosphere. Yeah, also anytime you add an element, you can always change its properties. You see this bottom left corner here, add icosphere. If you click on this, you can create subdivisions. Subdivisions increase the number of vertices it has. So you can just choose a scale. It makes it smoother, but you don't really need a lot to make it smooth. You can just right-click shade smooth, as I told before. But remember, once you do that, this tab goes, and there's no bringing that back ever. Right. So if you have to Shift A, mesh, icosphere, you can do other stuff. Like you can change where its initial point location is with respect to the 3D cursor. You can align it to the world, or wait, sorry. You can align it to the world. You can generate UV. UVs are, I'll explain this later. Okay, UVs are basically just UV maps, but yeah, let's just pump it up to like a 4 subdivision, and let's get to shading. Now, what we need to do is, how do I hide this? Wait, what? Okay, not funny. Okay, so what for materials, what you do is you create a new material. All right. Now, when you create a new material, you get this. Now this object has a base material. This is where all of Blender's true power comes to show. Okay, so you can choose a basic thing. Let's just stick to principle for now. You have all these properties you can mess with. All right, best you go into render view for this, because that time you can see everything. Okay, now you can choose, wait, let's just choose its base color. You have a color wheel. If you're not a color wheel kind of person, you have its RGB values. You also have the hexadecimal. You can just copy paste the hexadecimal code for color, or you can just move it along for all the Photoshop grades. Move it along, increase the brightness or the darkness of an image, and yeah, that's basically it. You choose a color, and that's color. Subsurface is basically how, I remember I told you about the bleeding of light. Yeah, so you can choose something like 12, and now what it's doing is it's, wait, what did I do? I feel I did something. Oh yeah, subsurface is on from 0 to 1, right? Sorry. Okay, subsurface is, let's choose like a 0.5. So what it's doing is it's merging this pink with this white. This is what happens at the edge, right? Like you've seen, like if the light is white, it slightly bleeds, like your hair turns into like slightly brownish, golden color. Your subsurface is your second mixing color. You can choose anything. You can choose it to be a blue. You can give it like all green. It usually gives you like a mix of the colors. If you can choose pink, it gives you like a much more stronger pink. I suggest this like base color as a light pink and subsurface as a darker pink, or the other way around. Both ways works, but that gives you like a stronger aspect to the color. If you want, if you just shades mode, you can use, it's a ball now. Okay. You can try roughness. What roughness shows you is how rough the material is. If you were to decrease roughness, you can see the light source, which we have here, the sunspot. You can see like its reflection on the thing. So that's, more roughness means it just spreads out the light more and you can't see a reflection. So obviously mirrors, roughness is 0. You can choose its metallic property, which right now it's completely non-metallic. And if you have to make it metallic, 1 always has this one weird thing, but yeah, slightly you go close to 1, it gives you a very interesting aspect. Yeah, so you see this, right? It's like perfect metallic colors right now. So yeah, you can choose, you can make it a metallic thing. You can anisotropic, just don't bother, just stay out of it unless you're making Toy Story or something. Emission, most fun part. Remember I told you about bloom initially, which I asked you to not touch. Come up here to the render properties and click on bloom. Right? What now? Come back to materials. Now, if you were to click emission right now, and just choose a color, pink. Now you have an object which is glowing. Now, if you were to turn off bloom, you can see, okay, it's visible at more strength, but if you can see like this, then edge lighting you get at the edges of the image, of the object. It's much more visible if the effect is, if the strength of the light emission is stronger. Let's just increase it. Oh yeah, by the way, if your thing caps out at 1, right, just click on it for typing, and then you can just increase its value by typing a number 12. And now you can see the bloom. And if you were to turn off bloom, tada, it's just like one glowing object, but now it's a shiny glowing object. Okay. Like last you have is texture properties, but that's for brush painting, but let's not do brush painting today. Okay, so all this is basically the basics, but let's go into the more fun part, textures. Okay, this is not, obviously you've seen textures right now, but obviously what this, wait, that's UV speed. There's, okay, shading. Go to shading tab. All right, and now what you see, this is what you're going to see. All right. This is what you're going to see. Now you can, this is called HDRI, high definition rendered images. Basically what they are is, it uses a scene, all right? You can actually bring in like a scene, and based on this, like you have an image, basically HDRI is an image, and the image wraps around your object, and how the image is lit is that's how your object will be lit. This is really useful for like VFX and all, especially so you don't have to like actually position the lighting. But for now, let's not do that. Let's just, rather than this, let's just stick to scene world and scene lights. So this is our scene world and our scene lights, because we don't really need HDRI right now. HDRI is if you just want a shortcut key. Now this is the part which most scares off most people in Blender. It's also really fun. Well, this is your node editor. Okay, now nothing too complex. Don't worry, don't get scared. Please don't leave. Okay, so now what you can do is Shift A, and you see like a completely different menu. You have inputs, and you see like a whole list: output, shader, texture, etc. Right? And you don't know what these are. You can completely experiment with everything. So let's just take texture and Voronoi. Voronoi is fun. So Voronoi is one of my favorite textures. Weird to say your favorite texture, huh? Okay. So what you can do is you take the color, right? And you can plug it into the base color. Let's turn off emission. Okay. Now, wait, alpha 0. Wait, no. Now this is what Voronoi does. It creates this. Wait, let's just, yeah, material. Yeah. So Voronoi does, oh yeah, subsurface. That's what it is. Now, this is what Voronoi is. Voronoi creates these random views, okay, and it just helps you create these effects. Now you can, so each one of these color locations is a different value. You can choose something like, you can give a certain texture to a certain value individually. You can do stuff like, this is a 3D Voronoi. You can choose a 1D Voronoi, which is basically just one plain color. Or you can choose a 2D Voronoi. Just experiment a lot. You'll find stuff. It's good for like planes, but you can see like it's stretched out. It's perfect from top and bottom, but it's stretched out in between because it's just for a 2D plane. And 3D, don't ask what 4D is. I seriously don't know why. In case of the future. Okay. So you have different types of stuff. You have F1, you have F2. It's different projection stuff. Like see, like you get like a mosaic effect, right? It's just more and more fun. So you have different ways of projection thing also. This is complete math. Okay, so just don't ask me to properly explain. This is Euclidean Voronoi. Then you have a Manhattan Voronoi, all right, which is this. Now what you can do is you can also change up the scale to make it like more or less. You can decrease randomness, and you can see like it's just, this is all a Voronoi texture is actually. This is a Manhattan. This is a Euclidean. This is all a Voronoi is, but randomness is what gives it much more of an effect. All right. Then you have Chebyshev, which is fun. You have Mikowski. Okay. I usually do these alone. I don't know how to pronounce these. I just read these. Okay. So this is one more. A lot of paint effects, right? And say you like the Voronoi texture, but right now it looks kind of dull, right? Like, look at how boring. It's just like one small paint thing. I'm not painting a canvas here. I need it to be a texture. I need to have depth. So what you can do is you can, so rather than searching here, if you just know the node name, you can just click search and type bump node. Okay. What bump node does is you have a bump node, and you can put the color into height. Okay. And normal to the normal. And ta-da. So what it does is it fakes height. So basically what it does is, say a color is there, right? Bump node gives that color height. So you have something like it looks like as if it, the mesh is not at all reconfigured whatsoever. The mesh is completely the same, but the image looks like it has a fake depth of field. Like you can see like the depth is there in each and every crevice. And if you don't like how it is, you can always just invert it. Inverting makes the top side go down, bottom side go up, right? Yeah, this is basically how you create a thing. You have different types of textures. You have so many. You can, there's one where it's, you have noise texture. Noise is kind of basic, really, to be honest. Noise is not that cool. It's very boring. That's noise basically. Just you guys would have seen 2D noise, right? A factor is basically if you wanted some color, but you only wanted it in black and white, just pure values. Okay, no actual color. Black factor is good if you want to for material mapping, right? So you don't actually for noise for bump, you don't actually need the color because it will do it based on different things. So you just need height here, and you can put the color into the base color. Right, it's loading. Yes, right, and you can put the color into the base color, and this is what is usually done because all you need is like black and white values for this thing mapping the height. You don't really need like a whole array and all. Like you can see like the crevices all have shadows in them. It fakes all this very nicely. All right. Yeah, and you can just select all and X for delete. Okay. Shift A, you have you can literally this is the most important one, image texture. Say you don't want to create your own texture and you stole some random base texture. So what you do is you just bring an image texture, you click open, right? You get something like this, navigate to where it is, like desktop. There's it. Now each texture, right? So let's just go for rock. Each texture, you'll get it in these 4 aspects, okay? So this is a normal, this is the roughness, this is the height for the bump node, and this is the albedo. Albedo is your color. So you just need albedo, and you put this to the color, right? And ta-da, you get a rock texture. And if you wanted to make it look more rocky, the same thing, text image, you can just search image textures to make it faster for you. Open. And yeah, recents, you have like recents here, which helps you like go move through stuff much more. You can set favorites also. I just have desktop and downloads. That's the only 2 places where I save stuff. So you have a normal map, let's just height, normal, whatever. You can choose anything. It has so basically what people have done is they've actually studied materials and they've actually done this. You actually have a normal map for the entire Earth. NASA actually releases these with taxpayers' money. I do not know how, but they actually do these. Okay, so color to normal, and ta-da, you have a rocky texture which looks like it's doing stuff, right? All right. This is how basically all of Blender is done. You also have UV editing, which is basically like right now, right? You see the cube, and I don't like where the image is, right? Like I don't like that it's placed like this way. I don't like it's placed here. So what I can do is I can select all here. This is basically each and every vertex. I can just move it around. And if you see as I move it around, it's moving it around the image. Basically, I'm projecting each and every point, all right, each and every area, and I'm projecting how its thickness is or where its location is. This helps. This is really helpful if you want to like map, say someone's face somewhere in the middle of an image, right? This is how all UV is. Also remember, if you're selecting your own UV image for projection, right, do remember to save it each and every time, because UV editing always gets messy, right? How are you doing on time? Okay, we're at 1 hour, which I'm sorry for taking so long. Okay, 15 minutes, everyone, quickly. Open your Blender. Let's just quickly finish off what we came here to do initially. That's all of Blender, really. I will actually link a thing to, I would actually suggest you guys go check out Blender Guru. He has one amazing thing, which is like a starter course, which is basically all you do is, wait, I'm going to set this to. Okay. So basically, he has one thing which where you make a donut and a coffee cup. So that's like a world famous renowned course. Okay, it's like a base thing for every person who's ever gotten into Blender. So I completely suggest you get into it. It's this what you'll be making. looks amazing, and it's still like one of my best renders yet, because it shows like realism and it teaches you all the basic concepts. But I do suggest you learn him. Now let's make a black hole. All right. So we have the set in an icosphere. Okay. For all those of you who are still there. Just 1 minute. Also, I forgot to cover this. Sorry. Just one quick thing I'll just cover before doing. So Blender, what you have is most of the tasks, you don't actually do it yourself. You actually outsource these to like other stuff. Okay. So you have come here to file. No, wait, Windows. Wait. Oh yeah, edit and come to preferences. Okay. This brings up this. These are all your add-ons. All right. You can get like tons of add-ons. There's add-ons which help you for anything. And if these are like all the inbuilt add-ons, you can activate these whenever you feel like. But if you find something externally, you just come here, click install. It'll take you to files, and you just install the add-on. Like right now, let's just, you need to do this one. This is a must for everyone. Node Wrangler. All right. Once you install Node Wrangler, you can do this. You can come to, say you created something like I've made an image texture. Okay, not image texture. I have made a Musgrave texture. And rather than doing anything, I forgot to put in a light. Okay. Now I have created a Musgrave texture. Now I want to see how it view, like you have a complex tree later on, okay? And I want to see how it's viewed there. So you can just Control, Shift, and left click, and it shows you how the Musgrave texture will be. And if you just Control Shift left click on the main one, it will just this thing reset back to normal. But yeah, this is very useful if you want to actually like try making something. Okay, so let's try making a black hole, shall we? Let me just. Also, if you have any doubts, right, in Blender, or if you forget like what a certain thing is, like what a certain shortcut is, or what how a certain thing works, just Google it. I mean, that's all. Like, you literally just have to Google it, and some person will definitely respond to you, or you will find it. There's like tons of documentation everywhere, and tons of people have tried everything. So you will find everything. So yeah, that's there. Let's make a black hole now, shall we? So you need two things. One is you need to create a sphere, and second one you need is a mesh for the plane. Okay, so scale this mesh. Not so much. Don't worry about the size. This is a temporary one. I'll make to make the permanent one. I'll show you later. All right. All right. So click on this. Go to new material. All right. Click on new material, and add this. And here, principal BSDF. Right. Instead, you can just click here and click emission. Emission. Right. So what it does is it does this. Right. So let's go to our shading. So zoom thing is like blocking my view. Okay, so we are under a shading tab. So we are going to go through a couple of nodes now. Don't get too scared. Right. So first thing you got to do, wait, click on your sphere first. You're not actually going to do anything to this. So yeah, restart. Okay. So take all these, delete it, clean. Shift A. Now create a refraction, because we're doing math now. Click on your refraction BSDF and add it to surface. Volume is what I remember when I told you volume does this thing, is for solid objects. It volume is it helps you make clouds and stuff like that. Correct. So now we got to use, after you've inserted refraction, right? You're gonna add in math node. All right. So once you have a math node, we need the reflection to wait. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So if you were to see in the image of a black hole, so you see like this top part is basically the light at the back bending upwards, right? So to do this, what you got to do is you got to take a divide thing, divide modifier, and set its value to 1, right? Set put this here to the color, put this to the IOR. Okay. Hmm. Wait, do something wrong? 1 minute. There's no. Oh yeah, sorry. So Fresnel, and then you need a color amp. So what a color amp does is, say you have like a certain property, right? And you want to control how strong the property is. So what you do is you just pop a property in here, and you can set its color to the value. Just, okay, I'm in material preview. Right. Sorry, this doesn't work in EV. You have to switch to cycles. What are you doing? No, shades me. All right, it's working now. Fine, thank you. Okay, so what you can do here is you can select the black value. Finally, yes. Okay, so black value, and then you select this to like how thick you want the inner radius of your black hole to be. So if you want to make it like the one from the actual image, so you want to set like a thin ring. I like like a thicker ring because it gives like more effect. But yeah, and you can bring in the white to show like how much power this has to like make the edges stronger. All right. What yeah, so you can just set this to your liking. We'll just set it to like this much far, right? Then what do we need to add? Looking at the image right now. Okay, yes, we need to add the photon ring, which is this thing. If you were to notice a black hole, right, there's something called as a photon ring. I think I need to just keep this image permanently open. Okay. So if you were to notice this ring here inside, that is known as the photon ring. All right. To add the photon ring, let's just take the same values. Right? Shift D. Shift D is duplicate, by the way. If I forgot to mention it, I'm not sure right now. I'm so far in. Right, oops, sorry. Shift D and Control Shift click, not triangle. Okay. Now, what you do is you bring the inner value deeper, and then you bring the white value a little more. Oops. Wait, not a Fresnel. It's a layer weight. So basically, you get a layer weight. Layer weight is what helps you relatively do it. So facing, because it has to change based on how you're looking at it, right? Yes, facing. Facing, what it does is basically as you're viewing it, it changes its orientation according to you. We gotta bring white this side. You can always just zoom in just to like view it cleaner. So where do we need the photon ring? Much more on the outside, right? So do that and click on this plus key to add another value. It adds in between as a gray, but you need to bring this. You need to bring the gray on the outside. Right? Bring the white a little closer. Take the gray, and you can change the color by clicking here. Just make it black. And now you got to squish this as close as possible. And don't worry if you can't zoom in, and if you're having a clicking issue like me, just go ahead, Shift A, color ramp again, and just add one color ramp in between. And then just take black and just pump it up. Like, pew. Right. And that's our photon ring. We're done with the photon ring. Yay. Okay. Usually a photon ring is not actually in, wait, control shift click. Okay. Photon ring is not usually white. It's usually a bluish color. Okay. Or a greenish, depending if you're seeing interstellar, if you're not seeing interstellar. Okay. So let's just take in like a color. Color. Okay. Color works, I guess. Well, actually, no, let's just go with an emission thing. It's just one color. Okay, emission. Emission is the same as emission node. The emission on the right side. I just gives you color. So let's give like a lightish blue. Oh yeah. Before that, let's just mix it so we can view it all at once. So get like a mix node. Okay. We need a mix. So you have two things: a mix shader and a mix RGB. Mix RGB mixes two color nodes. All right. Because if you can see like an input and output, this right now is a green. Green is always a shader. So get a mix shader and put pump. You can always just drop a shader in between. It just adds it to the location. And you have the second shader here. And the factor is how much of the shaders mix, right? And right now we just need the thing photon ring blue to only appear in the photon ring area. So you can just grab this color and apply it to the factor, right? And ta-da, you got a photon ring, which is blue in color, right? Now, you just have to like, you can play with the strength here or the color. Just play with the color, make it like a lighter blue. Let's not make it, so make it like obviously blue. Okay. And that's good enough for a photon ring. You can like see, you can see like based on wherever you're looking at, and you get the value. All right, we're done with the center of the black hole. That's all there is to it. The white part, right, is just refracting the back part of it. It's like divided by 1 and then just refracting half of it. So just we don't need this plane anymore. X, delete the plane, and it's gone. Now shift A, mesh, and a cube. SZ. Okay. SZ. All your shortcut keys work no matter which window you're in. Okay, just remember that. And make it like as thick as you need it to be. This tick seems good enough. Now S and control shift and Z. Wait, no, shift Z. Shift Z, sorry. And then you just scale. Right, that scales it on all the planes except for the Z axis. Right? Now this is going to be your black hole, the ring around it. Okay. Now let's begin with the ring. This is going to be one of the most complex things you would have done, but it's going to be fun, I guess, hopefully. Okay. Now, if it's not, just forgive me. I lied if it's going to be fun. Okay. So if you're following, just follow through fast. We're going to open a volume and principal volume, or yeah, principal volume. I'm going to pump it into the volume. And you can see now, right? I told you it creates like a foggy effect. That's what volume is all about. All right. Now we're gonna okay, let's just first make the area which is supposed to be affected by this. So we need a gradient texture. Right? Gradient texture and control shift click. Wait, no. Alt shift. Okay, fine. Just that's all. Like I am confused right now. I'm going to search. Add what is it? Mapping nodes. Shortcut. Okay. Okay. We don't actually need it. I can just bring it in on. Fine, never mind. Okay. Texture. We need two things. Texture coordinate, which basically helps you map the texture, like where the texture is, and the other one is going to be a mapping node. Oops. Now, once you have these two, following through. Okay, I guess you guys are not actually following, but yeah. I'll send the recording later. You guys can just follow through slowly. Okay, object. And this object goes into the vector. This is usually just auto done in Node Wrangler, but yeah. Now, what do you see over here? It's come like a 50-50 thing, right? Now, what's happening is it's considered to be linear. Now we need to make it spherical. We need to be a ring-like. And I do not see it. You've betrayed me. So, wait. So all you just need to do is from type point to type vector. Wait, no, final. Yeah, just navigate it. It does not have a value. What's happening right now? Okay. Let's just pump in a color and see what's happening. Shift A. And just place a color ramp in here. Vector node color to color. Should be right. What did I do? Okay. Wow. Okay, this is taking too long. I see you guys getting bored. Okay, fine. Never mind. I'll just show you guys an actual file which I've actually worked on. Sorry. Sorry, this was like my fault. Okay. Here's the file. So what you do is it's not working right now. Sorry. So this is basically it. Okay, this is what I was gonna make you guys do. There's very few people right now. People are leaving. I'm guessing you're bored. So yeah, basically what it is, you pump it into the gradient texture. What gradient texture does is it creates like a circle around this, which is black, and the rest of it, which is white. Okay. And then you create a color ramp to control how much of it is like a grayish area, so it can bleed into gray. So it's not exactly super strong. Okay. Now, what that does is when you multiply that with this set of nodes, this is completely useless. This is only to create noise so that it looks like it has like a little bump effect in the ring rather than to make it look straight. Okay. These are the ones that make it give the effect of it's spinning. So what I've done is I've taken a gradient texture, same thing, but I've added different values of noise. One is big noise with large noise particles. One is one with medium. One is one with small, and rotated them all at different intervals. Okay, so you get like a smush thing, but it's like large smush, smaller smush, and medium smush. Okay, and all like smaller ones, you have to rotate them faster so you can create like more small intercules. Medium one, you rotate it like with a medium pace, and like you see right here, right, like the scale, and that's it. Just change the scale for what it is, and just detail levels. Okay, to and so on. So for the factor, and then you just plug it into an overlay. Overlay, what it does is just make sure the two things just overlap one on top of the other and gives you like a final result. Okay. Once you're done with that, you pump all that into a multiply, not just multiplying both, and then color up. This is what gives you the color of the ring. All right, this gives you the color of the ring, and multiply all this. This all is just the same, just to give the bump effect. Okay, and then that to the density. Once that's all done, you get this. Right? This is it's on cycles. Yeah, you get this. This is what your final result should look like. Sorry, I thought it'll take much longer, shorter, but yeah, this is what you get as your final result. Complete working black hole. I'll send you guys a file later. Sorry to this is such a mistake. Okay. Okay. I should have seen these errors. This is a newer version of Blender than the one I was showing you guys tonight. I think there was some bug in that. But yeah, this is it. This is the black hole. That's all you need to like start Blender really. I suggest go check out Blender Guru's tutorials. Again, sorry for the ending being this undramatic. Okay, so basically, yeah, now I'll just show you how to take camera images shots. Okay, so basically just select camera to view. Okay. And now when you move around, right, your camera follows your view. So you can just choose like a certain area, and you can just choose the angle, and this is the angle the camera will view. This red dot shows you how much of the camera, like what's the size it's rendering at. And boom, that's it. Just hit F12 and you got rendered image. If you want it to look like it's spinning, so what you can do is you can hold on to the plane and R and Z, okay, and that rotates it along the Z axis. So you have like a rotating plane. If you want, you can try getting like a star map or something, I guess. Yeah, stars textures, something which has a lot of dots. Okay, and then give that a bump effect and then rotate that along. So it looks like there's debris floating around. Or you can try using an emission, this thing, particle settings, and then emit clouds along the way. Whatever your system is capable of. Well, yeah, this was very basic. That's it. This is an intro to Blender. Thank you all for joining. Goodbye. Any doubts, by the way? Sorry. Hello. Mm-hmm. Yes, this is one tool you're gonna have to learn one shortcut in Blender when it's ending your system. Wait, no. Okay. Yeah. In Blender, it's taking. As I suggested, you close all your tabs. I have 41 tabs of Chrome open. What did I do? Okay. Yeah, close all your tabs, and none of this will usually happen. No, stop. I closed Blender. Chrome, why you do this to me? Hmm. Okay, issue solved. Thank you guys for attending. Goodbye.